The Federal High Court has dismissed the lawsuit filed by attorneys general of the 36 states against the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit from implementing its guidelines on the administration of local government funds. The judge held that the case lacked merit. Now, the guidelines limited the cumulative amount that can be withdrawn from a local government account to not more than 500,000 naira daily. But the state government had argued that the guidelines were in breach of the financial autonomy of the various states as enshrined in the Nigerian Constitution. The NFIU issued some guidelines in May 2019 to guard against the overbearing influence of state governments in the administration of local government monthly allocations.
All right, for more on this, financial expert Johnson Chukwu joins us now. Thank you so much for joining us, Johnson Chukwu from Lagos there. First off, let's get your thoughts. I mean, the NFIU, the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit boss, says in reaction to the court ruling that this is an excellent ruling by the court. Do you agree? Because, I mean, the judge, let me just quote what he said, that the NFIU guidelines do not conflict in any way with the Nigerian Constitution.
Thank you, Ngozi, for having me. My take is that this judgment was long overdue. Many of us Nigerians have actually argued that what you have, what they call joint local government and state account, JAC, is actually a misnomer, though it's captured in the Constitution, but it's something that we need to review. Because the local government accounts are now being used as an account, a slush fund, to meet political exigencies or the needs of the state governors. So you realize that the local government have actually been castrated financially. Most local governments are not functioning and therefore are not able to attend to the last set of governance, which is the area they should actually focus on. And that's actually exacerbating part of the problems we have in the country. So where allocations that go to local governments are not in any way of any value to the society. Because the state governments have found built structures around the local government accounts such that they act as slush funds. They are funds they use to meet political exigencies. And this judgment, which I said is long overdue, will make it difficult for local state governments to easily withdraw funds from those accounts without those transactions being reported as suspicious transactions. Because once this is implemented, it then means they can't withdraw more than 500,000 naira in a day, and any withdrawal above that will be flagged as suspicious transaction and will make the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit and possibly EFCC to look into the underlying transaction that led to that withdrawal. So that way we are going to have some level of financial sanity. We are going to have some level of prudence at the state tier of governance. And allocations that go to the local government will most likely be deployed for the good of the people instead of being used for the benefit of the governors.
Indeed. And Johnson Chukwu, I mean, this is basically taking away the middleman from the equation. But what does it really translate to? Do we have the structures to ensure that we're not just changing the money handlers?
You see, ideally, when you have autonomy at the state, the local government level, if you have financial autonomy at the local government level, you're going to have independent-minded administrators that will be elected as local government chairpersons. Remember that local governments have their legislative arms. So at that point, the legislative arms of this local government will be asking the right questions to ask the chairpersons of the local government, where is our money? You need to drop a budget, we need to approve the budget, and disbursement, we must see through the disbursement, and then you have to have accounts of the local government audited annually or quarterly, so that we can verify and authenticate expenditures that have been incurred by the local government. So if once we have that, we're going to have some level of autonomy, financial autonomy, and that autonomy is going to pay off because we're going to begin to receive value for money, and money is allocated to the local governments.
When the NFIU, I mean, part of the guidelines actually reduced cash withdrawals from local government accounts to 500,000 naira daily. When you look at the economy generally, for a local government to withdraw only 500,000 daily, how is that going to help in the deliverables of governance at the local government level where it matters the most? Is this not a setback?
No, because remember that previously the central bank had actually made regulations to limit the amount of cash that can be withdrawn from any account, including corporate accounts. And the key thing is that when you effect financial transactions through cash, you kind of obliterate or cover up the flow or the tracking of such financial transactions. If you have to withdraw 2 million, 3 million, 5 million, 10 million for transactions, it becomes difficult to track what the expenditures are for. Today, there are multiple means of payment that any local government can adopt. You have online payments, which you have your RTGS payment, you have NEFT, several payments that are instantaneous. So you don't need cash to effect transactions. You have your POS terminals. So that financial transactions effected even at the local government level should be tracked and traced. That way, it becomes difficult for those funds to be moved for untoward purposes that are not meant the purpose for which the benefit of the local government. But if you allow huge transactions on cash basis, it's difficult for anybody to track those transactions, and it becomes easy. It creates a window for those who want to spend such monies for purposes other than the purpose of the government to have their way.
Well, we don't see the governors taking this line. I mean, they've been fighting this for a while. But what are your expectations, Johnson Chukwu, with this judgment? What do you hope to see?
Well, I hope to see that. I believe at some point the governors have to realize that what they are pushing is a misnomer. It's actually a retardation of the country's development, and I expect at some point they have to give up. Because how long will you push for illegality? How long will you push to foist fraud on the citizens for the benefit of a few political elites? I think we're going to get to a point where, like I said earlier, we're going to have independent-minded local government chairpersons who, because they know that they are accountable and they're not coming because of the share of the loot, they are coming to serve their people. They will seek for elections. People will elect them in. And I always say this: Nigerians are collectively, we have not lost our conscience. Nigeria's collective conscience is still intact. So if, as a people, we all come together and change the narratives and say this is not appropriate, we are not getting any benefit from this, go and look at the local government. I can tell you, there are some functions of the local government have now been left in abeyance, and because the local government do not have the resources. I know my own local government where I come from, being the local government in Abia State. On average, the allocation is between 80 and 100 million. 100 million allocation in a year is 1.2 billion. But you can't see any tangible thing. They can't even remove refuge. They can't do culverts. They can't do anything because the money doesn't even get to the local government chairpersons. So we're going to change those narratives, and I believe Nigerians as a people will continue to push that we as a people must change those things that are keeping us down.
Well, that's what we expect, but I mean, what are the guarantees that the loopholes that make for corruption, allow corruption to thrive, are plugged? I mean, yes, the NFIU says it will report 100% every financial transaction to the EFCC and the ICPC.
You know, the key thing about fighting corruption is it's not going to be a light bulb effect. It's going to be a gradual process, but we're going to be taking territory from those criminals or those corrupt people. And each of these ones will win, we hold on to it, and then we look for the next opportunity to win. We start from the low-hanging fruits. This is a victory for Nigerians, and I believe we must hold on to it. And then gradually, we're going to take territories, like I said, and over time, we're going to push back corrupt activities. Countries have done that. Italy, for instance, has done that. Several countries that used to be extremely corrupt, we are able to fight back, and the conscience of the society pushed back those who are corrupt, and eventually we're going to drive them out of the society.
That's a good place to leave it. Thank you so much for your analysis, as always, brilliant. Financial expert Johnson Chukwu, thank you for being on the news tonight.